Welcome back. You're watching CHA Today. I'm your host, Jennifer Gallman. We've been talking with CMS Superintendent Dr. Peter Gorman about his recent experience in a poverty simulation in the number of children who are currently homeless in Charlotte-Mecklenburg. Dr. Gorman, welcome back.
Thanks.
Now, earlier we were talking about, before the show started, a story that you had about a homeless situation. Could you share with us some about that?
Sure. About 5 or 6 times a year, I assist a teacher for the day, and I go into their classroom and I help. And I was helping a teacher, and one of his students was absent. And then about 2 hours after school had started, the student came into the classroom. And the teacher very quietly went to the side and asked the student, where were you coming from? And got him reset and kind of going with his work. And at lunchtime, he told me, and the story was just amazing. The young man was homeless. The reason he was late was the shelter he was living in, he left that shelter and went to a different shelter. And in the process of moving, his shoes didn't come with him. He had sneakers, his gym type shoes didn't come with him. And he was just panicked and looking for that. He loved these shoes. So here we've got a situation where this young man's late to school because we bus the students to school and we want to keep him at his same school to provide some continuity. So the bus went to pick him up and the shelter said he's not here anymore, so we then had to go to the new shelter, which added more time to it. Then by the time we got there to pick this young man up, we found out he didn't have his shoes to wear to school. He had had slippers when they moved, but he had one pair of shoes and didn't have them. Now think about that. So here we expect him to come to school and be ready to do his work, just like every other student. We also expect him to have his homework done from the night before. Now, do you think the night he was moving from one shelter to another, he got his homework done? We expect that that young man won't be worried about anything else. Here he is worried about his shoes. He was embarrassed by the shoes he had to borrow. Then I also think, now, what if he didn't feel well? Did he get a good night's sleep? What was his breakfast like? What is all of that like? But no, we expect him to be ready at school that next day. No excuses, no questions asked, just buckle down and be ready. Because at the end of the year, we're going to test you and you better be on grade level. Now, that was one night. Let me tell you, that same night, I knew where my daughter was at 5 o'clock. She was at our dining room table doing her homework with mom nearby. Because that's what we do every night. We have a set routine. No TV, no interruptions. She gets her homework done. My wife checks the homework. We've got that consistency. What consistency did this young man have? Now, let's roll that forward 10 years. Hopefully, we'll graduate from high school. We'll expect that student to go on to college, or if not college, into the military or into the world of work. But when he goes to apply for college, we're not going to say, tell me what it was like for you when you were young. You have a learning gap? Well, we understand. We'll take that. No. He's got to be ready to do that. It's a no excuses environment. So the challenges this young man faces are so much greater than the challenges my daughter faces or other kids do. So what are we doing as a school system, as a community, to try to help out students like that? That's why I'm so thrilled that we have some of our church groups that get involved, synagogues, other places that just dive right in and help, that we have groups that help clothe our students. There's a group called the Assistance League of Charlotte, that our schools that provide uniforms for kids, any of our students who live in poverty, they provide uniforms for, so that they've got a pair of shoes, they've got several pair of pants, several shirts, underwear, even toiletries for our kids. We are so lucky to have these groups coming together. And I think we've got to realize that we've got so much in this town, yet some others struggle. I drive 8 miles to work every day, and I never pass a child who lives in poverty on my way to work. I work right here downtown. We have other individuals who drive 8 miles to work and never pass kids who don't live in poverty. So our poverty is clustered in this community in many cases. We've got to make sure that we're targeting resources to those communities and those areas for those children, and understand kids didn't make a choice to be homeless. Kids didn't make a choice to live in poverty. So what are we doing to help those kids out?
Well, first, that story just moves me because the child was late, but he showed up.
Absolutely.
And when you had lunch with him, he was brave enough to share his story with you.
Yep.
And a lot of children feel very intimidated and would just stay home.
Mm-hmm. Very much.
You know, the Housing Authority is working diligently to also help disperse affordable housing throughout the city so individuals can have access to be closer to their jobs, be in a good performing school, and really just move the number of children that the Housing Authority serves onto post-secondary education. And a lot of those obstacles, besides the roof with the homeless, are very similar.
Yeah.
Recently, the Charlotte Observer did a story about two young men. Ironically enough, they live in the same duplex and are friends. Their life experiences, somewhat different, somewhat the same. Their outcomes in the CMS school system right now look very different.
Very.
You commented on that, and I would like you to share a little bit more with the community. After you read their story, very real stories, I know they might seem insignificant and not known, but they're very important to this community, and their story was very important to tell. What was your reaction?
What's amazing to me is how people that have somewhat similar experiences can then have a particular experience that might start down a path which leads to a lack of success or a string of things that occur, but how young it can be experienced by someone, that someone's destiny for the rest of their life can be impacted by something that happens 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. Now think about that. We're talking about a country that has lifespans that are 60 plus years more than that, yet their destiny in many cases is often laid out at such a young age. Also, it really drives home a couple points. As far as a school district, we've got to make sure that every child has one adult that has a significant positive relationship with them at school. And it doesn't have to be the traditional classroom teacher. It can be a coach, it can be a chorus teacher, but kids have to feel a desire to come to school, that there's someone they want to talk to, someone they have as a mentor figure, someone they can go and just let it out a little bit with. And then when that doesn't happen, school can become secondary. When other challenges pile up, it can get harder and harder for students. And when that happens, they take a different path than that student I talked about earlier who came to school. You start not coming to school. And it's easier not to come to school the second time you don't come to school. And then it's easier the third time and easier the fourth time. And we start seeing patterns being set. So if we can intervene earlier, if we can have those positive experiences, if we can have those other supports, and this job's too big for us to do alone. We need help. We need moms, dads, other family members. We need other social service agencies, other governmental groups. We need help. The job's too big. And I want to comment briefly about, you talked about spreading out the housing. That's so important for us as a school district. Poverty is the second largest challenge we face in educating kids. The largest challenge we face is aggregation of poverty. When we have many children who live in poverty together, it brings more challenges for kids. So thank you to the Charlotte Housing Authority for what you're doing.
What I find interesting is sometimes when you're trying to spread out housing, there are neighborhoods who have concerns of what that impact will be. And the Housing Authority has done some studies and has shown specifically in Section 8 housing where there's not a significant impact of decrease in property value or an increase in crime with Section 8 housing. Now there might be some correlation with rental, but the most significant impact, especially with crime, comes when there's commercial retail close to these neighborhoods. And one day I was talking to one of my neighbors in a South Charlotte neighborhood, and they were all excited about putting their 5-year-old on the school bus. A week or so later, I was in a self-sufficiency Section 8 event, and there was a lot of proud moms in the room talking about their children and what they did. And what stuck out to me is one very proud woman said, "I'm a bus driver." And I thought, wow, that's a rewarding job. You ensure that children all throughout Charlotte get to school safely and get home from school safely every day. But there are some people in our community that don't want that person who's driving their children to school to live next to them.
Isn't that amazing?
And really, I look at it as an opportunity if we can get out there, our agencies, the school system, and community groups that become informed of this, of what really the impact could be, a positive impact, that we can start to narrow that perception, that wrong perception of who we're serving and actually the value that they are actually bringing to the neighborhood.
Absolutely. And we would ultimately like our schools to mirror the entire community. We want our schools to mirror the entire community, and we want to meet every child with their challenges and needs that they have. If we can, though, have a variety of different children in our schools, different challenges they face, we'll be better able to meet their needs. All of our schools need to be diverse environments.
If the bus driver can live 2 miles from the school that it serves versus across town, how much less stress is that economically on them and impacting their family and their lives? Because like you said, there's a lot more time that it takes to take the bus to get across town to get to work than if you could even walk to
Absolutely. But the key is we've got to provide them a great school they have faith in. We've got to make sure it's a great school because every parent deserves to have their child attend a school they believe is a great school.
Now, before we go, I want to talk about something that I absolutely love that CMS has. And it falls in line with giving the children a good mentor, whether it be a parent, also someone in the school, or just someone in the community that cares. Parent University.
Parent University is a great program. I'm particularly fond of it. My wife was one of the founders of it for us. And we offer training and opportunity for parents to learn about different topics. Let me give you one. We offer a mini course. It's a single session about preparing your student to take the EOG or EOC test. Little simple things. What does the test involve? What's it like? What can you do to help your child get a good night's sleep ahead of time? How can you do some simple little things like doing some drills and homework to prep for that? Simple things like that to things that go maybe even a little deeper. How do you notice particular signs if your child might be getting involved in some things that they shouldn't be involved with? Or some things about diabetes and health and diet, things like that. It's a way that as a community, we're here to help parents learn more to be a better parent. And we can all be better parents. Every day I find myself wanting to be a better parent. I think we should strive to it every day. Sometimes I second guess some things I did. A little education would have done me well. So we're thrilled to have Parent University. We offer hundreds of courses every year, and the community's been such a great partner. And you know, the Housing Authority has been a fabulous partner where we team up in offering coursework, and we're grateful that you're a partner.
We at the Housing Authority love Parent University, and we try to push that information into the community. And we always use your website as a general reference because there's a lot of information online.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to be a parent to go to the class. You could be mentoring someone.
Anyone. Yep.
Dr. Gorman, thank you so much for coming on the show
Glad to be
today.
here.
It was a pleasure talking with you.
Thanks.
To learn more about what's going on at Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, log on to their website, www.cms.k12.nc.us. If you have suggestions for future shows or questions about today's shows, please email us at chatoday@cha-nc.org. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.